the year 61 AD. The Roman army, the most formidable war machine the world had ever seen, stands against an immense horde of rebellious Britons. Trained from youth for moments like this, the legionaries find themselves outnumbered nearly 8 to 1, yet their discipline and mastery of warfare remain unwavering. With gladii gripped tightly, they brace for their ferocious charge of the Brittonic warriors, their faces set with grim determination. As the centurions stride down the ranks, barking last-minute commands and bolstering morale, the Britons surge closer. Just moments before the two forces collide, the Roman lines erupt in a coordinated volley of pillar. The deadly javelins arc through the air, descending in a devastating storm upon the reckless barbarian vanguard. Welcome to the Vets for Vets event. Join us in World of Warships for a one-of-a-kind event, Vets for Vets, featuring special guest commanders, the Fat Electrician and Matt Carricker from Demo Ranch. History buffs and new players alike, this is your moment. Use invite code VETS4VETS to claim an exclusive starter pack featuring limited edition commanders, the Fat Electrician and Matt Carricker, 200 doubloons, 14 days of premium access, 2 million credits, and your choice of a historic tier 4 ship after just 15 battles. World of Warships is free to play on PC, making it easier than ever to join the fight. Every ship in World of Warships is meticulously recreated from historical blueprints, offering an immersive experience like no other. Add to that the unique commanders with custom voice lines and reactions, and you've got history coming to life in the most exciting way. Delve into naval history by commanding legendary fleets on over 40 historically inspired maps. With hyper-detailed ships, dynamic weather systems, and PvP or PvE battles, this Veterans Day World of Warships is proud to support K9 for Warriors, an organization that pairs service dogs, often rescues, with veterans facing PTSD and other challenges. Learn more and contribute through the link below. History is waiting. Join the battle today. During the 1st century AD, the Roman Empire extended its reach to the island of Britain. After a series of devastating campaigns, the Romans subdued much of the island, turning local tribes, ruled by chieftains, into client states. One such tribe was the Iceni. When the king of the Iceni died, the Romans ignored his will, seizing his kingdom. In an act of brutal humiliation, they publicly flogged the king's widow and violated her daughters. However, the Romans gravely underestimated the resolve of the Iceni queen, who would go down in history as Boudica. Fueled by rage, Boudica rallied her vast horde of thousands of warriors. Like a vengeful storm, her forces swept across Roman Britain, leaving carnage and devastation in their wake. Almost the entire eastern half of Roman Britain fell to her rampaging army as the Romans scrambled to consolidate their forces. Standing between Boudica and total victory was the Roman governor of Britain, Suetonius Paulinus. Little is known about Suetonius, apart from his previous command in the province of Mauritania, where he had successfully suppressed a local revolt. A veteran of many campaigns, Suetonius was a strict disciplinarian, a man of few words and decisive action, embodying the archetypal Roman commander. With meticulous preparation, Suetonius managed to gather a force of approximately 11,000 exceptionally trained and fully equipped legionaries. Determined to make his stand, he chose ground that played to the strengths of the Roman army. The battle's exact location remains uncertain, but it is believed to have occurred near the Roman road of Watling Street in the British Midlands. Suetonius positioned his legions on a gentle slope, with their flanks protected by dense primitive forests. The only approach was from the front, where the Romans excelled in pitched battle. Despite their strategic position, the odds against the Romans were staggering. The historian Cassius Dio remarked that even if the Roman soldiers had been arranged in a single line, they would not have matched the length of Boudica's forces. Across the battlefield, the massive horde of Britons stretched as far as the eye could see. A formidable mass of warriors, armed with shields, spears, and the occasional helmet. Hundreds of chariots took position at the front of their ranks. Before the battle, Boudica delivered a rousing speech to her warriors, reminding them of their cause and calling attention to the violation of her daughters. "I'm descended from mighty men," she proclaimed, her words igniting wild cheers and defiant taunts among the Britons. In stark contrast, the Roman army stood silent and disciplined, their ranks unwavering. The only sounds were the clipped orders of centurions, breaking the eerie stillness. Suetonius, in keeping with Roman tradition, addressed his men with a brief yet powerful speech, a masterclass in laconic professionalism. His words, though few, were a rallying cry that would inspire his soldiers to stand firm against overwhelming odds. "Ignore the racket made by these savages. There are more women than men in their ranks. They are not soldiers. They are not even properly equipped. We have beaten them before, and when they see our weapons and feel our spirit, they will crack. Stick together. Throw the javelins, then push forward. Knock them down with your shields and finish them off with your swords. Forget about plunder. Just win, and you will have everything." The battle began with a dramatic charge by Brittonic chariots racing before the Roman lines and hurling javelins. Yet the missiles had little effect on the steel-clad legionaries, whose shields and armor rendered them nearly impervious. The sight of the chariots was undoubtedly impressive. The charioteers displayed remarkable agility and skill, but their attack was more a test of the Romans' resolve than a serious attempt at breaking their ranks. As the chariots withdrew, the Brittonic horde surged forward. Thousands of warriors advanced up the slope, heading directly toward the Roman front line in a chaotic wave of raw force and fury. Within the Roman ranks, a sharp command broke the tense silence, prompting a sudden shift in formation. The legionaries at the front, reconfigured into a series of wedges, a tactical arrangement designed specifically to counter overwhelming numbers of unruly tribal warriors. They stood motionless, awaiting the enemy's charge. As the Britons closed the distance, their pace quickened. What began as a steady march turned into a trot, then a full sprint. Just before the two forces collided, the Roman legionaries unleashed their pillar. The heavy Roman javelins arched gracefully through the air, descending upon the oncoming Britons with devastating precision. In mere moments, thousands of warriors were struck down, either killed outright or left horrifically maimed. The charge faltered as chaos rippled through the Brittonic ranks. The legionaries then moved forward as a single, unyielding mass, an unstoppable juggernaut of iron and discipline. Shields locked edge to edge, forming an impenetrable wall of bronze and leather. The soldiers marched in perfect unison, their hobnailed sandals striking the earth with a measured, thunderous rhythm that echoed like a beating of a war drum. The Britons met the Roman line with ferocious determination, swinging their longswords wildly in a desperate bid to break through. Yet the Romans remained unshaken. Their advance, though slow, was relentless and methodical. Every step of the legionaries pushed the Britons back, and any who stumbled or fell were mercilessly trampled underfoot. There were no mercy, no respite, only the cold efficiency of disciplined slaughter. Hemmed in by the wedges of the Roman formation, the Britons found themselves surrounded. Their chaotic mass became a trap of their own making, as they were systematically crushed by the inexorable Roman advance. It wasn't long before the Britons' impetuous charge devolved into a chaotic and disorganized retreat. The front ranks, having borne the brunt of the Roman assault, collapsed onto the rear ranks, further exacerbating the confusion and disorder. What began as a determined offensive quickly unraveled into a panicked mass of fugitives, desperately trying to escape. Their only route of retreat was the same path they had used to advance. Tragically for the Britons, their way was obstructed by a cordon of wagons and their baggage train. These had been positioned before the battle and were filled with women and children, brought to witness what was expected to be a glorious victory. Instead, they became an impassable barrier trapping the fleeing warriors as the Roman infantry pressed forward, cutting down everything in its path. The Roman auxiliary cavalry was unleashed. They descended upon the retreating masses with devastating efficiency, cutting down hundreds more. The death toll soared as panic spread, turning the battlefield into a slaughterhouse. What has started as a battle quickly transformed into a one-sided massacre, a grim demonstration of the overwhelming superiority of Roman discipline and tactics. The Romans showed no mercy. The legionaries exterminated not only the warriors but also the women, children, and even the pack animals. No one was spared in the carnage. By the end of the day, nearly 80,000 Britons lay dead on the battlefield, making it one of the deadliest single-day confrontations in history. The Roman losses, by comparison, were negligible. Only 400 dead, and a similar number of wounded. Suetonius Paulinus stood triumphant. After the battle, the fate of Boudica remained somewhat uncertain. According to Tacitus, she ended her life by poisoning herself. Cassius Dio, however, records that she died of natural causes. Regardless of the specifics, she would trouble Rome no longer. Suetonius continued to govern Britain for a few years after his decisive victory, until his eventual replacement. The Battle of Watling Street solidified Roman control over Britain, ensuring the occupation would endure for centuries. It wasn't until the 5th century AD when the Roman Empire would finally abandon the island to its fate.